Hey Cardinals, how you doing this morning? I hope you're doing really, really well, and I hope you've had a good week. And I know we're getting close to the actual end of school, and I hope you're keeping up with all of your assignments and your work so that we can all end on a really good and fun note. We're going to read a story today. It's a pretty cool story. I don't know how many of you have pets, but if you have a dog, you know that dogs are very dependent on their noses, as are most animals. And dogs use their noses to introduce themselves to other dogs and to look for things in the grass and to find their toys and to find their food and all kind of stuff and to find you. You smell a certain way to your dog if you have one. Um, so this is a book we're going to read today. It's called Skunk Dog. Okay, it's about a poor doggy who does not have the sense of smell. He's not able to smell, and it causes some pretty big challenges for him. So we're going to see what happens in Skunk Dog. This is written by a lady named, the author is Emily Jenkins, and the illustrator is Pierre Pratt. Okay? So let's see what in the world Skunk Dog does without his sense of smell. And just imagine, what if you couldn't smell anything? Some of my most wonderful memories in my childhood are related to smells. Think of walking in your grandma's house and her baking some fresh cookies, or on holidays, the smell of your Christmas tree, or for me, it's called a sweet olive bush, and it was outside my window when I was growing up. And when I smell that, it reminds me of my mom. So, smell's a very important sense. So let's see what happens to poor Skunk Dog. Skunk Dog by Emily Jenkins and Pierre Pratt. Dumpling was a dog of enormous enthusiasm, excellent obedience, skills, and very little nose. She was smart too. She sat when people told her to sit, stayed when people told her to stay, and rolled over when they told her to roll over. She understood quite a lot of English and a little Spanish. She could even do tricks, though most of the time she preferred to lie down and chew on something made of rawhide. Dumpling cared a lot about frisbees and walks and breakfast and lunch and dinner and dog treats and table scraps. She went into paroxysms of joy over people coming home when they'd been away at work or school all day, or even if they'd only been out for 30 seconds to see whether it was really raining. But unlike most dogs who can smell, a cat or a butcher shop from blocks away, Dumpling couldn't smell a thing. She didn't care about flowers or garbage or any of the other smelly items most dogs enjoy. And the way other dogs went sniffing around one another, the way they do, meant nothing at all to her. She didn't understand what they were up to. She couldn't smell anything, so she didn't care. As a result, Dumpling had no dog friends. Without a sense of smell, she couldn't relate. She loved her people, of course, and in particular the small boy who gave her table scraps and dog treats and threw the frisbee. But she had no companions of her own species or any other species besides human. And so, rather often, Dumpling was lonely. One summer day, Dumpling and her people, piled into the moving van with a whole lot of furniture and boxes, and took a long ride out to the country. Dumpling threw up twice on the journey and had to wear a leash when they got out at rest stops. But when they arrived at the new house, she felt it was all worthwhile. There was a large meadow nearby, a garden waiting to be planted, and long paths through the woods in the back that were perfect for walks. Best of all, there was a doghouse just for Dumpling. The boy put her food and water dishes just outside its door and her favorite Afghan inside for a bed. Who knows what an Afghan is? An Afghan is a blanket. And I'm telling you because we don't have context clues right here in this picture because we can't actually see the Afghan. But maybe we'll see it later. Uh-oh, look what I just found. Look at this. Who remembers what this is called? Who remembers what this is called? I know you do. I know you're telling me right now. Yep, you're right. It's called dog-earing. To dog-ear your pages. Are we supposed to dog-ear our library books? Or any of our books, really? No, we are not supposed to dog-ear because the crease gets in there and eventually that will tear completely off. So we use something for a bookmark. Okay? No dog ears. Even if it's a dog book. As the people finished hauling boxes from the van and the sun began to set, Dumpling explored. Next to the doghouse was an interesting bush. Dumpling was just beginning to dig on an experimental hole underneath it when she caught sight of a small black and white creature lurking behind the foliage. It sprayed her with some oily, wet stuff. Oh my goodness. But Dumpling wagged her tail to show that she was up for some fun. The creature sprayed again, then disappeared into the woods. Dumpling was disappointed and trotted indoors. What was her new friend? A skunk. Dumpling, the people cried as soon as they smelled her. What have you gotten into? I think it's a skunk, said the mother. Oh, drats. We'll have to wash her right away, sighed the father. I'll find the dog shampoo. Dumpling, skunks are yucky, explained the boy. Stay away from skunks. The boy dragged Dumpling to the bathroom where they all three lifted her into the tub and scrubbed her with warm water and lots of soap. It's not working, said the boy. She still smells, said the father. I read somewhere that tangerine juice works to get a skunk smell out, said the mother, grabbing her wallet and heading into town. When the mother returned with a bag of tangerines, the people sliced them in half and squeezed them all over Dumpling. Then they rinsed her and dried her off with a towel. It's not working, said the boy. She still smells, said the father. We have to roll her in sand. That's it, said the mother. The sand absorbs the oil in the skunk spray. She picked up Dumpling, still wrapped in the towel. They all got in the car and drove to the lake. Roll over, the boy said to Dumpling. And because she was an obedient dog and always did what people told her to do, Dumpling rolled in the sand. When she was good and sandy, they drove Dumpling home and gave her another bath. It's not working, said the boy. She still smells, said the father. Tomato juice, said the mother, grabbing her wallet and heading back to town. Dumpling went back outside in search of the skunk. She couldn't smell anything, so she didn't care. It was back under the bush looking for something to eat. Woof! Breathed Dumpling, softly so she wouldn't scare it. The skunk sprayed her again. Oh my goodness! But Dumpling stayed put. She lowered herself onto her belly and slowly inched forward, thumping her tail. Now this skunk was a particularly brave animal. It could have disappeared back into the woods, but it didn't. It stood there looking at Dumpling, and Dumpling looked at it. Then the skunk waddled over to Dumpling's dish, which was right next to the doghouse. It took a piece of kibble between its paws. Dumpling watched as it ate the kibble very neatly and then took another piece. Soon they were having dinner together, Dumpling and the skunk, watching the last of the sunset through the trees. Just then the mother came back from town, carrying 2 large cans of tomato juice. Oh no, she moaned when she saw the 2 of them together. Naughty dog, don't play with the skunk. Yucky, stinky skunk. She grabbed Dumpling's collar and dragged her back into the house in the bathroom. She got sprayed again, she called to the father and the small boy. This tomato stuff better work. So they washed Dumpling 3 more times in the bathtub, twice with tomato juice and then again with dog shampoo. It's working, cried the boy. I think she smells okay, said the father. Finally, sighed the mother. As soon as Dumpling was dry, the people let her outside again. Now, Dumpling, said the small boy, you can sleep in the doghouse. You can play in the meadow. You can chase the butterflies. But whatever you do, don't play with that yunky, stinky skunk. As I told you before, Dumpling was a very obedient dog. She sat when people told her to sit. She stayed when people told her to stay and rolled over when they told her to roll over. But this time, she wasn't going to do as she was told. The skunk was her friend. She had never had a friend, and now that she had one, she wasn't giving it up. Right away, she started to look for that skunk. She looked under the bush. She went a little ways into the woods. She looked in the garden that was waiting to be planted and underneath the porch. The skunk was nowhere to be found. Maybe it didn't want to be friends after all. Maybe it didn't like when the people said yucky, stinky skunk. Maybe its feelings were hurt. Dumpling searched and searched for the skunk, but the only creatures she found were a couple of white butterflies and a field mouse that didn't seem very friendly. When the people finished dinner, the boy came out with some table scraps. Dumpling didn't move. The boy pulled a dog treat out of his pocket. Dumpling didn't move. The boy threw a frisbee. Dumpling didn't move. All right, the boy finally said, filling her water bowl and giving her some more kibble. It'll be nice and warm in the doghouse with your Afghan. See you in the morning. With her head hanging low and feeling lonelier than she had ever when she lived in the city, Dumpling wagged her tail gently at him and headed in. There in the doghouse, cuddled up on Dumpling's favorite Afghan, was the skunk. It rolled over to make room for Dumpling. The 2 of them lay there for a while, then spent the rest of the night romping around the meadow, stopping now and then to eat a little kibble. From then on, Dumpling and the skunk were the best of friends. They played chase and roll in the dust and catch the butterfly. They dug things out of the garden and trampled through the woods When they got tired, they lay in the doghouse together, side by side. And though she sometimes got sprayed when the skunk was startled or in a cranky mood, Dumpling never minded a bit. She couldn't smell anything, so she didn't care. And the people, they bought a lot of tomato juice and kept the cans in a cupboard beneath the bathroom sink. And there they are. Look, the dad even has on a mask. So everybody ended up being happy. Dumpling was able to be friends with the skunk, and the parents and the little boy were okay with it because they found a way to make her stop stinking if the skunk sprayed her. So it's always nice to have a friend, and sometimes our friends are different than other people's friends, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. There are friends out there for everyone, and we just have to remember to always be kind to everyone. Just think, if the dog would not have been kind, and the little boy and the parents would not have been kind and not let Dumpling play with the skunk anymore, then they wouldn't have had each other. So remember to be kind to everyone, no matter what. Okay, so I hope you liked the book. I like it. I liked it a lot and wanted to share it with you. I'm also gonna share some news with you. This Friday, May the 1st, we are going to start our virtual book fair. Scholastic has figured out a way for us to do a book fair on the iPad, just like you guys have been having classes and meeting with your teachers and your classmates. So I'm going to send information home this week. So tell your parents to be checking their email and be checking Facebook, because before Friday I will be sending information for you to know how to get onto the Scholastic site and shop at your book fair. It'll last from May the 1st to May the 14th. So it'll be over right about the time that you are starting to turn in your materials and all that kind of stuff. So remember, we're probably going to have to stay in place a pretty good while longer. So they should have some really good books on there for you guys to read, and make sure, if you can check to make sure that they're AR books, because we will be doing AR when we get back to school. We're going to pick that up. You guys did such a great job this year. You were really starting to catch on. Everybody was doing really well. And those of you that had not been very interested in it, I think there were several of you that had figured out that it really was a good, fun thing to do, and it was something that everybody was able to do. And I noticed quite a few more people trying to meet those goals and reach those goals right before we left for spring break. So find books that are AR books if you can, and remember, you can search them from your Renaissance site. Renaissance has a AR book find that you can go on and see if they're AR. I'll send that information home when I send the book fair stuff home, in case you guys don't have that anymore. Okay, so be looking for that information, and I hope you have a really good week, and I hope it stays this pretty this week. I told the other kids when I read their book, I'm getting ready to go to Walmart and buy me a bicycle. That's right, one that really goes around the neighborhood, not one that just sits in front of the TV. So I'm going to get me a helmet so that I'll be safe, and I'm going to be trucking around my neighborhood this week. So wish me luck. Say a prayer for me, and I'll be praying for you guys. I love you, and I miss you, and I'll see you next week. Bye.